A bit of stickiness. Oh, play the intro quick. No, click it. Click.
Welcome to your awakening. Please take all as your reality is adjusted.
And where's my main room? There. Sorry, I was clicking through tabs. Yes, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe I should say good morning, global gulag, global digital virtual gulag. Not long to wait now. They're going to be sneaking it in. But yeah, we'll sort of talk a little bit about that in a bit. Let me just quickly, because I was still flicking through, because we were too busy talking about the possibilities of different things existing in history or not. So we were far too distracted going backwards and forwards.
I blame Rob.
Yeah, we can blame Rob. He's a convenient totem of accusation. Yeah, he can be a whipping boy in that respect.
Oh, he'll love that. He'll love that.
Well, partly what I was thinking of doing tonight is based on his suggestion, because I've been trying to go through all the files I've got here on this StreamYard system. Why won't you let me scroll? What's going on here? The page won't scroll.
Oh no.
What?
Scroll harder.
Oh, I hope it doesn't crash the page in some. I can't scroll the media assets up or down anymore. What the hell? Well, I'll keep fiddling with it. Hopefully it'll fix itself. Yeah, I was going to go through the collection of photos or memes and whatever that I've got in the media assets. Although I can't download them, can I either? And I don't want to just outright delete some of them. What the fuck is going on? All right, let's quickly just try swapping media.
I'm a starfish now. Oh.
Yeah. And now you're back with the Nazis.
Yeah.
It's taken the scroll bar off the tab. What the fuck's going on with that?
I don't know. It works for me. I can scroll up and down.
No, will not give me a scroll bar. Will not let me move it with the mouse. I can't like grab it and push up or down. Fuck. Okay, yeah, the page is basically fucked up for me then. So
you probably have to go out and back in.
No, I'm not. Yeah, fuck that.
You'll lose music and all that.
Yeah, it can wait for another time then.
Yeah,
unless it fixes itself. Well, I might be able to flick through some of them, but it's going to be.
I can click on the ones you have uploaded.
Well, I was looking at just the. Sorry, hello, folks. Welcome back.
Hi, sorry, technical issues.
Yeah, trying to deal with sudden technical issues.
Shenanigans.
Yeah, well, because I can collapse the subsection. So I can open and close the overlay section, which contains those images, but then there's no scroll bar, and it won't allow me to grab the section and move it.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that. I can move them around.
Right. So it's just my page then. So it's
That's
probably just my StreamYard's page that's
crashed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we could still go through them. It's just I won't be able to delete them or move them or do anything with them. But like I was going to say, I don't really want to delete them until I've got copies of them, because some of them are images that I don't have anymore because I lost them when my hard drive crashed. So I wanted to just download them so I could keep them, So that was part of what I was thinking of doing anyway. But that seems to have been kiboshed because StreamYard's just being shit tonight. So, well, for me anyway. That's weird as well, because it's never done anything like before.
No. It is weird.
I will keep fiddling with it. Hopefully it might fix itself, like if it reloads itself or something. But it's just, that's cack. Anyway, yeah, talking about the digital ID stuff that's been brought in, I mentioned a little bit about that, and I want to, in the second half, like in the later hour, I want to talk about a recent video that was put up on the Land of Chem channel, you know, the one recommended recently on Jeffrey Drum's channel, who covers a kind of potential that the ancient buildings, the ancient constructions that are in what we now call Egypt, in other words, Giza and the Great Pyramids of Giza and stuff like that, and a lot of the other pyramids buildings that are not necessarily on the Giza plateau. His hypothesis, his theory, that they were all part of a functional industry that was about producing chemical products primarily. Maybe a few other things as well, possibly. I know there's a common thread that's been going for many years about a concept called monatomic gold. Some of that has got possibility, but anyway, the point being, he put up a recent video that was one of his earlier videos that he did for his private membership stuff. You know, he does the usual thing like a lot of them do, where they'll have a private members section where you get to see the video first, and then a few months or even a year later, they'll release the video for the public to see. I don't know how long, I can't remember. He does mention how long ago he made this video, but my point being is it corroborates and what's the word for it? I was going to say coincide. That's not the right word. But it's a corollary. That's what I was trying to think of, that word, corollary. It just means basically it's similar or almost the same as, you know, it's basically a repetition of the same theme, but includes other information. So the two are corollaries of each other. Two things I've been talking about for years. Let's see if you'll actually let me select an image. Right, okay, so I can pick up images I can see. I just can't scroll. Okay. Some of this stuff I've been talking about, the ether energy or the plasma energy, the electric universe theory, and some of the research that he's done, I've done in the past, but obviously I was never approaching it from the point of chemistry, which is his main approach to those structures. I was only ever looking at the energetic side of what the pyramids do. But basically, we find similar results. And he then talks about a few other things that, again, add into stuff I've been talking about for years and other people have covered in other ways, like the electric rainbow and the fact that we are electric beings before we are anything else. And I think it's another example of that rediscovering the past is bringing us back to a knowledge base that serves us as a species far better than the materialistic standard model use of science that is dominant in our society at the moment and has been for at least 300 years, maybe more. Yeah,
too long.
Yeah, certainly the last 200 to 300 years, our entire societies globally have been dominated by this materialistic perception of science. Certainly the last 200 years and the last 100 years absolutely has been completely all materialistic standard model based misunderstanding largely.
Yeah, and then steam powered. We're still in the steam age.
We're still burning stuff to make things happen, yes.
To make steam.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll get into that in the second half. But first of all, I want to say, if people didn't know, if you missed the show yesterday, we did a new ice cream social, which was primarily organised by Anonymous, because he'd got in touch and asked, like, you know, it's been a while since we've done one. And I agreed, and we said, yeah, we'll try and get in touch with people. I tried getting in contact with people. I only got one reply, but they were busy and couldn't really make it. As I explained yesterday, it can be a bit awkward trying to set up those particular shows because the people involved come from multiple different time zones, so it can be a bit difficult arranging a time that's good for everyone to actually make it. So that's why they're a bit intermittent as well, because not everyone's always available, stuff like that. But we did a new broadcast. That's number 8 as far as I know. We were talking about the Economist cover, the way the classic, I want to call it conspiracy feed, or fuel, maybe be a better word. The conspiracy fuel that the Economist magazine puts out once a year, where they do these sort of pictographic puzzles, basically. That's a lot of what they are. And pictographic puzzles they claim the reason they do them is to give an idea of what's going to be happening in the coming year. It's like, as the Economist magazine, it is their prediction of the trends for the coming year. But what we have learned over the last however many years there is that there is also a lot of kind of in-jokes amongst the cabal and signalling to each other that gets included in these images. So if you have an inquiring mind, you can pick these images apart and look for very interesting clues and connections and maybe indications of things that they are planning to do or that they've got prepared to bring out and force on us. And it's a way of preceding ideas into the public consciousness, which is something that this system loves to do. They love to give us these ideas so that then when they begin to implement them, people are sort of inoculated to the shock of these new things being brought in. Very similar to the other chemical inoculations that they keep telling us they have to give us, Except these kind of psychological ones are usually done in subtle ways where they try and subliminally make you think that you come up with the idea yourself, that kind of thing. But really, it's about inoculating the population to the shock of them introducing things that if you hadn't been inducted into expecting these things, then they would be a shock. And they would be the kind of things where people would be abjectly against them without almost a second thought. It'd just be common sense. Like, of course we don't fucking want that shit. What the fuck you want to fuck off, you crazy fucking politicians, The public would react much more resistantly, and therefore their ideas would be less likely to be implemented. So instead, they massage our minds with suggested ideas of things to come. This is part of what created the whole science fiction genre. Giving people ideas of things to come, like the classic H.G. Wells one. That's a good movie to watch if you've never seen it. It's a good follow-on from Metropolis as well. Sort of like how the system had begun to control that narrative of the use of technology in that kind of way. But anyway, talking about that kind of stuff. And what else did we cover? A little bit to do with the ballroom, Trump's entertainment show with the UFC matches and all that kind, just like fucking idiocracy.
Mm-hmm.
So we did cover quite a few things. It ended up being about
UFOs.
3 hours though.
UFOs.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a fair bit of discussion in there if you're interested. As I say, it was about 3 hours, so a bit longer than what we normally do, but we hadn't had the chance to get together and chat for a while. So, of course, there was a lot for everyone to try and add in that they wanted to.
It didn't feel like 3 hours. So
no,
like
it went quite well. I thought, if anything, I felt a little bit like it was only because I noticed the time on the clock and I was thinking, oh shit, it's been nearly 3 hours. Should we, maybe we better finish up.
Yeah.
Just thought otherwise it's going to go on for at least another hour, maybe
more.
Yeah. So some interesting stuff to talk about.
We'll do it again soon.
the other thing was towards the end, we had some unfortunate news, which I wanted to make sure I mention this today in case that people didn't see the show yesterday, so they're unaware. But you may have seen some of the notifications going around now that the person we knew as Mr. Smith, obviously he had a different name in everyday life, but we knew him as Mr. Smith. Unfortunately, he lost his fight against the cancer that he had. So it was a bit of sudden, sad news that came out over the weekend that he had passed. He'd gone through the portal to the other side. Yeah, maybe it was the right timing for him, obviously, but it did come as a bit of a surprise because regulars would know he did show up in the chat a few times recently, and he seemed to be getting better and bouncing back a little bit. But sometimes that's how it goes, isn't it? You think you think you're getting back up there, but it's almost like your clock has already been set, and in a way that can be, I think anyway, that's a better way to face it than having it all drawn out in the sense of seeing it approach like an inevitable brick wall kind of thing.
Yeah.
Instead, it's a bit, hopefully, it's a bit more getting it over and done with. Deal with it, as he often used to like to say.
Yeah.
He has moved on. Deal with it. Obviously, he would have said he loved you all anyway, so deal with that. But yeah, it was his time. So hopefully, he will now be sending some good energy back to us from that other side or up there or wherever it is. You don't find out until you knock on that door. Which I know some of us have been through that experience. So yeah, once you get that impression, that experience, it's I don't want to say it makes sense, but it becomes a more comprehensible, natural process. So in other words, it gets less frightening. It's less fearful. You lose the fear of it because there is no reason to be afraid of it, really.
Nope.
But yes, Rob will be doing a special show tomorrow in celebration of Mr. Smith. So as he's posted, go and check it out if you got particular memories you want to share. I know Rob's got a lot of his music lined up that he'll be playing. So yeah, please tune in for that if you want to.
Yeah.
But yeah, it became a bit of a.
We knew he was sick, but it still came as a shock.
Yeah,
so,
it was a
everybody's
surprise.
A bit flabbergasted and surprised, and well, we miss him. So,
and if anything, it's I feel this. I know I've got a bit of a hard-nosed attitude to some stuff like this, but that's just the way my personality has developed through my life. It's you've got to keep moving. You've got to get back up again and keep moving. And I think that if anything, it should be something that galvanizes people. I know that might not make sense to people while they're still grieving, but grieving is part of the process. That's what it's for. You do your grieving and then you keep moving because, and I think you'll find this to be true when you talk to older people anyway, that's what they would want you to do. They would want you to carry on, not just spend the rest of your time grieving over them and their passing. It is a natural part of life. So at some point it happens to all of us, no matter what the cabal psychopaths might like to dream about. Their concept of immortality and shit like that is talk about never-ending hell. That is what they are trying to set themselves up for. And if that's what they really want, they're fucking welcome to it. I don't want it. But you get the point. It's something that happens to all of us if we've got what I would argue is a right-minded approach to this reality. If you think you can stay here forever, you've missed the point. You're not meant to stay here forever. Yeah, so yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
no, he's probably reincarnated into some little girl with drumsticks in her hands, and you know.
Oh, like Logan and the progeny that he's had, the
Yeah.
girl with the
Yeah.
claws. So it just made me
Yeah.
think of kind of animal effect playing.
I don't
drum,
know. So, yeah, some baby is already drumming, maybe in the tummy, right?
Yeah. Well,
It's
as
not
well,
the
but
end. They sold us death, right, as the end.
it's the end. Yeah,
It's not the end.
No.
So yeah,
Again,
and we'll all face it. We'll all be there at one point.
Yeah, could reference some of this, because if you like the middle image on the left-hand side, which is like a galaxy with the toroidal energy passing through it, cycling through it, that is something now that mainstream science has started to acknowledge. So it has become part of astrophysics that they understand that there is a toroidal energy field around every galaxy. But my point is that if you can accept that there is an entire toroidal field for a galaxy, then do you not think there's one for the entire universe? Or multiverse, if that's a possibility? I don't discount that, although I don't generally agree with it. But the point being is, if there's toroidal fields around every galaxy and reality is fractal, then there's a toroidal field around the entire universe. And that means every time we go through that process that we call death, where does your energy go? It goes back round again, doesn't it? It goes round the cycle again and comes back again. And when you comprehend that consciousness is pure energy, energy is conscious, then that means you are being reincarnated, as some interpretations refer to it as. I don't see it that way personally, but that's a discussion for later. Oh, hi, Anonymous. Hello, mate.
Hi, mate.
Yeah, no one gets out alive.
Nope.
That's a classic Frank Zappa quote, isn't it? Yeah. We are all here for a period of time within this current layer of the reality, but that doesn't mean you won't be back again. You will. Yeah,
I'm gonna do that too. I'm gonna try at least. I'm gonna try and haunt something or somebody. Yeah.
I want to haunt a nice, attractive lady's bicycle seat.
Yes.
Problem is, I'll probably get
Why's my
some
panty
greasy
itching?
old dude. Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care.
Peloton fucking bicycle seat. I'll be stuck in some mega city 15-minute apartment block somewhere, attached to an energy generator.
With an overweight lady.
Yeah. Dear. Digressing all over the place into silliness now. So.
Thanks, Michael.
Yeah, that was a good one, dude. Oh, and I meant to download that Exodus
Pete
song.
will haunt me as Judge Michael. Yes.
He already does.
No, dude, you'll be there before me. You'll be haunting me, man. Cunt.
The song again. The song again.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there is a much. I know it gets a bit esoteric for some people, and they still feel it's woo-woo. I can quite happily go through very, very long-winded explanations of why it's not woo-woo. It is literal reality. There are ways that we can utilize a certain amount of the scientific method to explain or to catalogue, to measure and weigh, because that's what a lot of science does. We can measure and weigh a lot of it, but there's areas we can't get into that kind of data acquisition. We can't do the kind of what's the word for it? It's not substantive, qualitative. We can't do that kind of qualitative research because you hit that observer wall problem, where reality begins to change itself based on the expectations of the observer. So basically it becomes unmeasurable. We can't measure it at that point. So the standard scientific methods become unusable at a certain point, but there are ways of logically explaining the processes that are more than likely taking place beyond that observable barrier. We can speculate and hypothesize based on logical, rational expectations and speculations, and plot out how that energy comes back round again in that toroidal cycle. So you can call it woo-woo if you want, but there are ways of comprehending it so that you can have what I feel is the real gnosis, which got garbled into what then ends up becoming labelled Gnosticism. But there's a lot more to it than just a need to create a religious explanation for stuff. It's just the simple, natural, philosophical comprehension of how reality works. At some point, you begin to explore the layers of reality that are unseen to the naked eye because they're either so small or so big, we can't measure them with the naked eye. So at that point, natural philosophy has to give way to rational deduction. And that's the way the process goes. But maybe that will make some sense when connected to the title, the subtitle this week. 2 weeks to know no with a question mark on it, simply because I like using question marks when I want to be able to say a statement, but leave the door open to possible counter explanations or arguments. So I am sort of making the initial posit. I am positing the initial foundation or speculation that we've got approximately 2 weeks for the majority of the population to realise and know, in other words, have the confidence in their own ability that they can say no to the shit that's being introduced by the so-called governing bodies. Obviously, there's other things beyond the governing bodies, but just that simple comprehension, I don't know how else to describe it. I know we could end up talking for ages about how people are lost in the matrix and distracted and all that kind of stuff. Yes, they are. But I think we've also reached a point where there are so many various aspects of what's going on at the moment that people are being bombarded with all this different sort of news information of how the world is falling in on itself in many different ways, that they can sense, they have been sensing for quite a while now, that things are very wrong and something's going to have to happen, something's going to have to break so that it gets then fixed. As is often the case, unfortunately, in human society, it takes something bad to happen before people actually get on with the problem, dealing with the problem in the first place, like the situation with Henry Novak. Most of us knew full well that there was a problem with the way the police was treating the indigenous population of this country for a number of years now. But it took the death of that teenager to get the majority of the public to turn around and go, hey, hang on a minute, no, this needs to be fucking sorted out, mate. Yeah.
6 months ago.
Yeah, of course, because it was December, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, but the way I'm just trying to describe my point in the sense of, even though a lot of the public are stuck in the matrix in so many different ways, and in a controlled perception of what's going on in the world, they've got a gut sense. They've got an innate response. It could, yes, I know, Matt. I suggested the same thing when I first saw.
We did yesterday as well. We talked about it.
Yeah, there is a good possibility of that, but
the symbolism and all that. Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, just making the point which I've made a few times before in the past. We've got to a point where they now, today, Queer Charter put out a little statement saying how he's going to demand that the platforms introduce filtering so that children's phones can't take naked images. Now, there's a lot to unpack just in that part of the statement, but I think the point is this is the backdoor route, because he's already had the suggestion of a social media ban for children pushed back on, when they first talked about it a few weeks ago. There's been a lot of heavy pushback against that happening. So instead, he's jumped on this possibility of, well, there's a lot of children out there that are suffering from this abuse problem where people are enticing them to take naked pictures of themselves and share it online, and then they get caught in a kind of blackmail trap where they're forced to do more and shit like that. So he's using that, again, the save and protect the children fucking angle, as a wedge to force the platforms to introduce a software defense or filtering fence against allowing that kind of thing to happen, right? He doesn't get into any of the technical explanations. So for a lot of the public, they won't comprehend what that involves in a technical sense and how it is an absolute Trojan horse in the way the vaccine passport idea was, and the social media ban is a Trojan horse idea, But he was talking about it like, within the next couple of weeks, I'm going to demand that these platforms do this, or we're going to start introducing legislation against them. So in other words, they'll start threatening them with some kind of fine or restriction unless they fulfill this demand, So it's going to become a requirement of the platforms to operate in this country that they have this kind of filtering in them, So that was why the 2 weeks, and know how to say no, because when it comes down to it, it is the population's choice to say no to this shit. And even if it is introduced in the same way as they tried to force in the COVID tracking, in a similar way through the back door, through the corporations, it wasn't mandatory, but it was mandatory, that kind of shit. Then it's down to the population to stand their ground and say, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not agreeing to it. I'm not going to jump for your little hoops. Take it away. We do it as we've been doing it all along. Go away with that shit. So unless the public does that, these fuckers will keep introducing these little niblets of change that will, by gradualism, lead to that full-on digital introduction, Is that a clip of him? Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, okay, yeah, cool, play it.
I'm calling on tech companies operating in this country to introduce device controls that prevent children from sending and receiving sexually explicit images. Because this is not an impossible challenge. These are some of the most innovative companies in the world.
Aren't they also doing sexual education in schools where they teach little children how to do anal sex and shit on schools now?
Yep.
So what the
There
fuck
are literally course books, as in
Yeah.
books that are recommended as part of the course curriculum, that are aimed at younger children, prepubescent children. You're talking
Well, how
like
to
7,
masturbate
8-year-old.
and tickle your
Yes.
anus.
They will
Yep.
even have imagery in them to demonstrate the ideas. How to
Yep.
masturbate, how to have shared physical enjoyment. In other words, how to have
Oh yeah, and if you have some gay
fondling.
feelings, it's okay. And
Yeah. And you've got a slew of other books that are about the gender, transgender stuff as well. So
funny that.
And I believe they can solve it.
They have.
If they choose not to, then we will act. And we will change the law.
Yeah, you see how he's worded it in a way that for the general audience that don't understand the technical side of how this stuff works, they're going to think that the platforms need to write brand new software to make this stuff happen. They don't comprehend that the software is already capable of doing this anyway. Yeah. So therefore, there's no need for these tech companies to develop some way of doing it the way he's wording it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's putting the onus that the blame or the potential guilt is going to be on the corporations. So it's not the government's fault. Yeah, we're doing something about this problem, folks. So you can't say it's our fault, whereas they know full well already that the systems have been capable of and are in many ways doing this already anyway. Yeah, on YouTube you can't post videos of female nipples. Yeah, because the software automatically detects them and says, "Oh no, this is a naughty video. Can't share that." Yeah, you can show male nipples. I can show my nipples
And bollocks.
Yeah, but you can't show female parts. So the system is already capable of filtering that content. The other element of the technicality that he
sharing
doesn't
kiddie
really
porn is a
explain-
no on all platforms.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
all
it's
the
already
mainstream
filtered for.
platforms.
Yes, exactly.
So,
but the other thing he says that, again, in a technical sense, he's playing on the ignorance of the general populace. Is he says children's phones.
Yeah.
How do you know it's a child's phone?
Yeah,
What's
as
the
if they.
difference?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The difference is the operator, not the phone. The hardware is based. I know you can buy phones, particularly for children, that got fancy colours on and whatever, yeah. But the point is, the way the hardware and the software works is identical to a phone that anyone can buy. So it's no different in a children's phone in that respect, yeah.
But he's talking to a generation that is probably is going to have a career on OnlyFans and in social media, right? On YouTube and streaming, and of course regular jobs. We'll forget about those.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they already have that kind of a mindset. Like, yeah, well, I'm going to be a streamer. I'm going to be a popular YouTuber. I'm going to be all that, right? So these little kids, I don't know, streaming themselves and exposing themselves on all those platforms. Again, why aren't we targeting? Why are we targeting the parents? Right? That
because they don't want
basic
the
education that
parents
you should protect your child in any situation.
Yeah,
so,
but that gives the presumption that the ownership of the child rests with the parent.
Yeah, but that
They
should
don't-
be where
They
it's
don't
at.
want parents. Yeah, they don't want parents to think that.
I know.
They want parents to accept that the state is in
Will
charge
protect
of looking
them,
after
yeah.
that child. Yeah.
Yeah.
So therefore, the parent is allowed to abdicate responsibility of what that child can or cannot access. Yeah, you got to leave it up to the software companies and the platforms and the government. As a parent, you just sit back and, I can't interfere with what the child's doing because the system does that. The system parents my child for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, again, the way he words what he's saying, he's predicated on that presumption that the state owns your children, not you, not the parent. Yeah, it's just nasty as shit. But this is what I thought I had to emphasize that, like, when it comes down to it, this is going to be down to the population refusing to go along with what they're trying to introduce, because they will, like he suggests, they will force through legislation, which basically means financial punishment. They will force the companies to do what's demanded of them. They've already done it with companies like Facebook. They've fined them and whatever. They've had them up in front of committees and shit like that. So they will use legislation to manipulate the companies to go along with what they want. Plus, and again, this could digress me off into long explanation, but I know regular listeners know my point on this sense. The corporations and the government are the same fucking entity. Yeah, the corporatist system means the corporations know full well that they need the governments to introduce these ideas because that suits the direction the corporations are required to go. And the governments know that they can use the corporations as the bad guy to justify the bringing in of these legislations. So they're working together like two fists, or the left and right effect. The corporation provides the service or the functionality, and the government manipulates the corporations by pretending to do things that are meant to benefit or protect the public. But it's completely the opposite. So unless the public themselves, in the same way as with many other things, like I don't have a smartphone. I've got an old phone that I call my retarded phone because it's so old, it's fairly incapable. I can't even use it to make phone calls anymore because they turned off the 3G network in this area. And it's an old 3G phone. So at best, I can get emergency SMS messages, you know, when they do the emergency messages.
Mm-hmm.
So it is
You should buy an
technically,
old 3D or a 3G mast, right? Antenna, and then start your own fucking service.
no, I should buy a fucking ham radio, man, and just have done
Yeah,
with
that's
it.
yeah. Well, there you go.
Fuck all that other shit. But you have to get a license, you know,
Eh,
unless you want to go pirate. Which,
depends on how many wattage,
yeah,
right? How many?
yeah, where I am and whatever, I don't think I'd get away with trying to set up a pirate radio.
With a big antenna on the roof.
They'd track me down, fucking no problem. Yeah. There was a
Mhm.
big raid here earlier on this afternoon. I think they were raiding one of the local dealers. There was like 4
Oh.
cars, and I
Oh.
saw a few coppers running up and down the street. So they were obviously trying to grab hold of someone.
Okay.
But yeah, I wouldn't get away with a fucking pirate radio.
Did you play the Benny Hill tune?
I was tempted, but I didn't think of it, to be honest. But
No.
if you'd suggested it earlier, I probably would. Oh yeah, quick, turn the volume up. But anyway, yeah, like a lot of things that are going on at the moment, like in that sense of the smart devices. I've been talking about this now for donkey's years, and again, I know some people think that it's woo-woo, but there is scientific evidence to show that the use of these frequency technologies are bad for biological life. Not necessarily on a very aggressive level, like some have suggested in the past, like the fucking Mark Steele bullshit, where we claim that the antennas would boil people's bloods and you get nosebleeds, you know, all that stupidness that they tried to rubbish the information with. That was the point of what he was doing, yeah? He was a turd in the punch bowl. That was what he was, that was the role he was fulfilling. But there is good evidence out there to show that us being constantly bathed in a EMF smog soup that is getting denser and denser as they keep increasing the frequency levels of these technologies, it's bad for biological life. There is no other way to cut it. There's no other explanation. It's disruptive to biological processes. So the more we're immersed in that mesh of frequency technologies that are coming from all these different devices, all these different sources, it's going to have an accumulative effect on our well-being. And they know that, but they don't give a fuck because they just want to track and monitor everything we're doing. Now, even though I've been talking about this kind of stuff for years, now they've finally admitted that Wi-Fi technology can be used as a pseudo radar system. Yeah, so they can literally use the routers in your homes that you have for your general internet usage to scan the room it's in and anyone that's moving around in the room. There's videos now coming out talking about how this technology is applicable. You can get third-party independent software, open source software that allows you to access this so you can see it for yourself. Basically, the industry has admitted that, oh yeah, we can do that kind of shit all along, yeah. Some of us have been talking about that for donkey's years because it was there in the industry's own paperwork, in the science research. It's just they didn't want the general public to know because they didn't want the general public to have any comprehension that this technology is not good for your well-being because they really, really need you to have it. They're not giving it to you because they want you to be happy because you can watch an AI cat video. Yeah, they're giving it to you because it is a tracking device and it is a constant window that they can push media propaganda at you through. They can psychologically manipulate you with it. So they
Yeah, and even
desperately
if it
want
gives you
everyone
cancer,
to
they'll
have one.
cure it for you, right?
Potentially, yeah, with a new mRNA injection. Yeah,
AI is going to cure cancer, isn't it?
well, supposedly. I ain't got that meme. See if can I scroll me media assets yet? No, so
Let me
page,
see. Can I play?
yeah, the
Do I have
page
that
has
meme?
failed. You'd have to scroll down to where it's got the videos,
Yeah,
but I don't think we uploaded it on this folder. It might be in your folder, in the Starship folder.
probably. Yeah, it's not here. I don't
You
see
can
it.
always flick it over to that if you want to play it. If it's there, again, I can't scroll. So
Nope,
no, I've got the
it's not here
side.
either. So go back.
Oh well, no, never mind.
Yeah.
No, I can scroll my banners. Right, well, in that case, then
Oh,
we can have the text version of the same meme. There you go.
yeah, we're curing cancer, right?
We're
I got it
curing
on file
cancer,
somewhere,
right?
but yeah. Mhm.
I just thought as well. Now flick back to the chat room. I didn't even say hello to everyone. Sorry. Hello, everyone. Hello, all the time travelers. Hello, all the lurkers. Hello, James. James was first in the chat tonight. Good evening,
Yeah.
mate.
James.
I hope you're feeling better. Yeah, it's not exactly great news about Mr. Smith, I know, but yeah, we get up and we keep moving. We thank him for the fantastic energy he gave us all and the amazing creativity that he shared with us. Good evening, Rick. Thanks for joining us. Roscoe, good evening, mate. Yeah, let's go. We're definitely on our way. Mascara Snake, good evening.
I shall add them to your fucking thing. I got him. The movies.
Oh, right, okay. Hang on. I'm looking at only the YouTube channel.
Ah,
Let me come back.
you reached your full. You need to delete some.
Yeah, I know. That was the idea of going through them, but
Yeah.
I'm scrolling. But
Well,
it's
I got
allowed
it
me
here.
to. I can scroll the chat room in StreamYard, so it's all
You're
right.
curing cancer, right? Here we
It's
go.
all right.
Blessed Exile, good evening. Oh, there you go. Yeah. That's what the AI was designed for, folks.
Yeah.
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 And
Curing
stick
cancer.
boobs on everything because
They still promise that. He's still doing that. That Altman cunt. No,
Yeah.
once we have a terafloppy, floppy of power and we can suck the energy out of your asshole, then we can cure cancer. Maybe.
We can make cat videos with boobs and music. It'll sing a song to you about everything that you love about everything about the AI matrix, and it'll just put you back to sleep like Soma's meant to. But sorry, I'll get back to saying hello.
Hello.
Steve, good evening, Steve. Thank you for
Hi,
your
Steve.
video this afternoon.
Yeah, great tune. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Dealing with it. Yeah, we all are.
Yeah. And Rob's in the chat. Good evening, mate. He's like I said, he's doing a special episode for Mr. Smith tomorrow night. So tune in for the Health Freedom UK show and dedication for Mr. Smith. Nitsa, Dustin, good evening, mate. Thanks for joining us. And I'm scrolling. Rebecca, good evening, Rebecca. Thanks for sending me the videos. I think people might have seen it. It's been in the news a little bit. It was certainly on the alternative news. They've introduced a bill. It hasn't been passed yet. Obviously, it's got to go through the process. But they've introduced a bill in the American government to try and create a change to their NDAA, their National Defense documentation, that will basically tie them into a contract with Israel in exchange for weapons information, technical development stuff. But basically, it's creating a link that would mean the American military would be tied to the Israeli military in a kind of permanent way. So a lot of people are pointing out how this is almost like they're creating a joint, well, in a way, yeah, because they're creating a joint force setup that would usurp the command of the Senate and the government in the US, So, it's like a almost like a soft coup from the inside kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know the system well enough in America to say whether they're going to succeed with that or not. Like I said, it's been added into a bill. But I know the way they do things, they're similar to here. You know, they'll negotiate the contents of a bill, and they could get just that one section removed and then pass the bill. You know,
Yeah.
there could be amendments added, and yes.
Yeah.
So it's not guaranteed, but I think it's another indicator of just how insidiously intertwined the nation state of Israel is into the American system. Yeah, like I often refer to it as the Zog.
Yeah, they're not hiding it anymore. We already
No.
knew this, but it's like, yeah, we're now setting it into stone and paper and law and all that, right?
Yeah. And I
And
think
if
it's
you
true
don't
about
like
the
it, you'll
UK
get
as well.
arrested for anti-Semitism.
Yeah. I think the UK's been Zog for quite a long time, probably 100
Hell yeah,
plus
Holland
years.
is.
Yeah.
The Netherlands is not, but Holland is. It's complicated.
I'm scrolling. Jerry, good evening, Jerry. Yeah, it's Jerry, not Gary.
Hi, Gary.
Genuinely concerned, good evening. Kitty, meow, good evening. Yeah, that's cool. Get some rest and just lurk and listen. David, good evening, David. Thanks for joining in. I'm trying to scroll a bit quick. Angry North, good evening, mate. Hope you're well.
All right.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Hopefully we can have some more say no to digital ID music to try and get through to people. You know, you've got to try every different angle, because not, you know, old geezer talking for hours on the fucking internet doesn't appeal to everyone. So we need all different ways of trying to
resist the digital gulag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know a lot, like I said at the start, I know a lot of the public is more aware of this stuff now that it's really starting to hit home. You know, it's being introduced in everyday life kind of thing. But even so, I don't think a lot of people really comprehend how dangerous it is, especially the younger generation. They're quite blasé about it, you know. But yeah, whatever. Michael, good evening, Michael. Thanks for the silly comments. They helped, definitely. Yeah. You got to still be able to laugh at this shit, because one of the first things they try and take from you is your joy. They always want you to feel like you got nothing unless they give it to you. Frank, good evening, Frank. Scrolling. Yeah, should have done this right at the start, really, shouldn't I? But you know what I'm like. I was far too busy wanting to talk about my own shit. And it's all the other people that might not have been able to make it tonight for various reasons. I know we're all thinking about it anyway. Anonymous in the house as well. I said hello to Anonymous earlier. And did I see Rich T in the chat? I'm not sure, but hello, Rich, if you're listening. Can you all stop talking for a bit and catch up on the chat? Because it just keeps going and going and going. And of course, I'm just Mahatma. Good evening, Mahatma. Yo, Bertrand Russell and his missus used to run a well-dodgy non-school down south for years. This is all well thought through, therefore it will eventually succeed. It's their gradualism Fabian shit, isn't it? And the slow walk through the institutions, you know, that's the principle of gradualism. Bit by bit, they chip away, inch by inch, they make their way towards their goal. And then, of course, you've got the kind of methodologies like the Hegelian dialectic. They know that if they give you a kind of left-right piston process, you're like, oh, you get fed up with the left now. Oh, okay, here's a bit of the right. Okay, you had enough of that. Okay, there we are left. And they just keep doing this shit. And everybody ends up getting like dough, you all get just compressed into the middle. Ulich, good evening, Ulich.
Hi, Ulich.
This is why, again, I say we need the population to understand their own power. And it's not about fighting with the fucking police in the street, throwing fucking wheelie bins at them. That ain't going to fucking do anything other than give the system exactly what it wants, to introduce more legislation to control what you can and can't do, and whether you can and can't protest and shit like that. Paul, good evening, Paul. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Paul.
So, yeah, I think I've said hello to everyone. If I missed you out, sorry, I was trying to scroll through as I do. Yeah, hello to everyone that's listening. But yeah, that joke that we've been subjected to yet again in response to the Henry Novak situation. Absolutely, I understand the rage that people feel, and they feel frustrated that nothing's been done, and they feel, some people anyway, feel like the only way they can respond is with violence, with force. But that's exactly why they project this stuff at us. I'm not saying necessarily that the Henry Novak situation didn't happen at all. I'm open to the possibility that it's a psyop. I've talked about that myself. You know, some of the things are just very convenient in the way they all slot together to serve the purpose.
Yeah.
But at the moment, what we're having to deal with is the fact that it's being used to try and agitate the public on racial lines, to make people feel that there's some kind of need for a race war or a race conflict between the indigenous whites and all the other non-white people and shit like that.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do about the Romanians? They're white, but they're immigrants. So do we have to fight them as well?
I don't know. Have you seen the mainstream narrative? The Sikhs feel threatened now because of what happened to Henry Novak.
Yeah.
It's the Sikhs that have a problem. It's
now they're the victims.
It's not the white people that have a problem with people.
No.
It's them.
So it's obviously
they're claiming victimhood now, right? They're doing the George Floyd thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
And, as I mentioned before, you know, of course, on the opposite side of that fence, you've got a lot of the agitators and the professional agitators that are deliberately out there trying to whip up the indigenous population into a violent frenzy. And then we end up with people in the street throwing wheelie bins at the police, and the police using their shields as weapons, which is against their own fucking legislation, yeah? Even against their own training. But I reckon they were given the nod. They were told, like, be vicious, be aggressive, because we want to get these cunts so fucking wound up. Yeah, that's the idea of it, is get them so wound up so that then Starmer can have some good video footage to put on the news media and say, look at all these crazy right-wing neo-Nazi people. We've got to bring in more legislation to crack down on these evil people. He's such a fucking cunt.
Far right thugger.
Yeah.
That's the image that they want, right? That's what all the
I absolutely
YouTube
get the rage.
provocators do.
Yeah.
I had a bit with the White Lives Matters, how the Nazis in fucking, I think it was Spain or Portugal. Not sure,
yes.
but
They
fucking jumping on the Novak shit.
Yeah.
That's not good, guys. That's not the way but that's not the direction we should,
No.
But they are getting a shit ton of traction.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I want.
It's a classic methodology. There is a certain amount of truth in that situation. Yeah, I mean, you can see it in their own documentation, the way the police instruction clearly says you have to treat different races differently. So in other words, they're taught to have a bias against white people because of the DEI training and all that shit. So yes, there's a truth to it, but they're using that as a deliberate wedge to try and get the indigenous population fighting in the streets, so that then they have the justification to introduce the crackdown shit. Hi, Ridiculizer. Hi, Days.
Hi, mate.
Yeah,
look, it's a perfect powder keg, right? And then you just have to light the fuse and off you go.
Yeah.
So and that's what that's the dubious part about this whole case. Like they had months to prep
Yeah.
this, to
Yeah.
get this out and to
And to
present
craft
this
the
to the
PR.
public.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Whereas they deliberately made really dumb PR mistakes in the way they put the information out, the way they worded it, the way they resisted it. Yeah, it serves a very good narrative purpose for the current direction that the queer charter regime is trying to take this. I mean, the fact that he himself instantly, I say instantly, but the first PMQs, yeah, when
Mhm.
Farage was talking about the two-tier system and whatever, Starmer straight away, and this is what I call him, an absolute fucking cunt, he's a sociopath, deliberately uses the family as
Yeah.
a wedge tactic
Shield.
to
Yeah.
put the guilt back on Farage. So instead of actually addressing what Farage, the point Farage, and I hate Farage as well, yeah, but the point Farage raises was a valid point. But Starmer just straight away, basically by insinuation, labels him a racist because the family are being upset because you're asking questions.
Yeah, but when
Yeah.
the George Floyd case happened, none of that applied.
No, they all fall to their knees gushing.
There you
Because that serves the creation of that racism narrative paradigm, yeah?
Yeah.
This is why I get so arsy with people when they talk about racist shit, yeah?
Mhm.
Because I thought when I was a youngster in the 90s and the 80s, I thought we'd already got past most of that racism bullshit. Again, it was like the homosexuality stuff. I thought we'd got over all that kind of homophobia shit, yeah? But they brought it back again to use as intersectional wedges to create all these subgroups, because this ideological principle that they're working from requires there to be all these subgroups.
Yeah,
I love some-
and who's the
yeah,
racist now, right? Who is the actual racist?
Yeah.
Because it seems a lot of when you're white, you're a legitimate target because colonization and slavery and
which is the sins of the
probably
fathers.
George Floyd as well. Like we're all responsible for that shit somehow. And yeah,
far
of course,
back in
people think
time
that.
do we go?
Yeah, but
That's the stupidity, that sins of the fathers fucking attitude. How far
exactly.
back in time do we go?
Yeah, but even
if one of my great grandfathers happened to have killed somebody, do I then get convicted for murder?
yeah, but
That's
it's
the
not
kind of
cultural.
treachery.
It's not a cultural thing. Every culture does it.
Yeah,
If they have the chance to fucking dominate another culture, they will.
yeah.
All of them. Even
Yeah.
tribes in the fucking jungle will captivate the next fucking
even
tribe and rape the women and.
But even the ones that do it peacefully, you get an
There you
absorption
go.
process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
The dominant society, in other words, the one that are doing successful
Mhm.
for themselves, even if they're totally peaceful, if they encounter a lesser tribal group in the sense of less numbers and less successful, they absorb them. There's no combat required, but they still get sublimated into the bigger whole. This is just the way nature works. Yeah.
Yeah, and reality is that my foreign friends are more racist or just as racist as I am. So I mean, yeah. Turks don't deal with Moroccans; they hate each other, right? Turks don't deal with Kurds; they fucking hate those too, right? So it's always the divisions that you have in all cultures and it's just a play. Right, it's just a fucking play because we know it's all fucking bullshit.
And one of the contradictions that many years ago always just used to wind me up, but I've just become acclimated to it now, that they have this kind of it is an ideological belief system basically, but the fact that they adhere to a completely illogical concept, because they claim that diversity is our strength, but at the same time they demand that we all merge together into like a brown goo.
Yeah.
So hang on. So that means you lose all that diverse distinction. So therefore you don't want us to be diverse. You want us to be uniform so that we all fit into this globo homo ideological concept. So you're contradicting your own ideological demands. You're saying we should celebrate diversity as our strength, but at the same time, you want us to be accepting to all differences, which basically is the same as
We
saying
have
you
to
want
erase
uniform.
ourselves to be acceptive.
Yeah.
What the
How
fuck
does
is
that
that?
make any fucking sense?
No.
It doesn't.
No.
The only way
Chinese.
it
China is
works
for
is,
Chinese, and England is for English.
yeah, the only way it works is through ideological dogma. In other
But
words,
that's how
because
you
it's-
get a suicide killer to fucking kill themselves, when you take away all that
yeah,
cultural grounding and existential threat, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, my whole existence, we as a culture, we're no longer going to exist
yeah,
in
it's
20 years.
meaningless.
Yeah, it's very similar to how they did, train those fucking suicide bombers over in
Yeah.
Arabia. So it's the same kind of
And
tactics.
just,
It's very
and I know,
dangerous. This
I know you have
violence.
to, like we talked about recently, I think it was last Wednesday. I know you have to allow for the fact that history is written by the winners. So, you can't just take as an absolute everything you read in a history book or whatever. But the point is, if you study history, you can see how all the great empires, and empires do have a lifespan, yeah, they don't last forever, but they transform and they often change into new forms. Yeah, so some of the basic principle of the empire system is still around and is still applicable
It's
to
a
our society.
continuation. Yeah.
But the point I'm making is that when you study the footprints of those empires, you see how they all do this same process. They all absorb other cultures. They all force other cultures to become subordinate. They dominate those that they encounter and force them to join in. The classic Roman expansion was built on join us or die. It's as simple as that. Either you join our federation and we'll make you lots of profit, mate. We'll bring you goods from all around the world.
Either with us or you're against us.
Yeah, exactly. So their own track history and the fact that they write it as if it's something to be celebrated, but then they tell us that, we're all supposed to be the same. There's no difference between us and you shouldn't recognize differences. So you fucking what? That's part of what made this whole reality interesting and creative, and the diversification of attitudes and perspectives and cultural ways of living are what lead to our development as a whole species. It's a difference between, like you were saying, we don't get on with certain different groups, but they might get on with others. So there's kind of like a linkage system. So just like the original principle of the internet was meant to be, where you have these diversified and decentralized connected nodes of linkages. Each node gives linkages to others, but not all of them get used by everyone. But by degrees of separation, they are all interconnected. It's the same way the neural structure in our fucking brains work. So again, it's that fractal principle of this reality. The macro reflects the micro and vice versa.
I'm seeing more that people are figuring out that we're in the weirder and weirder stage of everything. And I think like the Roman Empire as well, right? When it was at peak, it was doing some fucking weird shit. Like totally unnecessary fucking weird shit. Just because they could, I think. But and it's similar with the Epstein shit.
It does reach a peak where it starts to fold in on itself. Because
what's next for these fucking perverts when you have a fucking private island where you can tear kids' faces off and do fucking all the shit you can think of, right? So what's next?
Interesting. I mean, you mentioned that the stuff about the Trump's trying
I
to
think
get that
Kushner
island
has an
up
idea
there.
because he has an island.
But the one thing I wanted to mention about that is, I mean, obviously you see the clip of Kushner and it's like watching a fucking
Lizard.
mannequin speak, an animatronic or something.
Yeah.
But you watch the footage of Ivanka where she's talking to that guy.
Hmm.
She's talking like a celebrity, where in her mind she thinks the public are jealous of what she has,
Yeah.
which is
She's
why
like
she's
Paris
talking
Hilton.
about. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's talking about this island like it's some kind of romantic getaway.
Oh yeah, she's gonna save it and make it prosperous and better.
virtue
Better.
signaling, because she
Yeah.
thinks that the public out there is jealous of what she's got. But to me, I'm listening to her talk about what they're going to do with this island and whatever, and obviously with the context of having a bit more information about the island and the situation in Albania, I'm listening and watching her facial expression. I'm thinking, you're so lost, you're so gone. You think people are jealous of what you're doing and what you've got and what you're saying you're going to do with this property. No, I think people just hate you, love. They despise you.
Yeah.
They're disgusted by you.
Yeah.
So how can you go through life with this attitude? Oh yeah, people are so jealous because I'm just so fucking fantastic. No, people despise you.
It's
Yeah,
funny
that's
how Oprah Winfrey, with all her fucking virtue signaling, didn't help Africa, but bought part of fucking Hawaii, and you know, we know what happened there, and how she controlled the road, and the people couldn't escape, and they got burned, and nobody's talking about that anymore.
And she wouldn't even let them make use of her services because she had her own people on call, like emergency services people and stuff like that.
So yeah, rich people in islands.
Yeah. It works better if you can isolate them on those islands, yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice, but no.
I'm still more in agreement with that idea than the death penalty. Yeah, I think you can't eradicate this mindset by trying to kill them all off. It doesn't work, yeah.
I think a rocket ship straight into the sun is the best solution.
Send them to explore Uranus.
You're going to Mars, guys? Not really.
But yeah, stick them all on an island. Give them
do a
hammer.
Titanic fucking thing. Sink them all.
I just want to see them, come up with a whole new society based on who has the hammer.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be interesting. Yeah, but anyway,
but that's the real solution thinking, right? But that's not where we're at. We're fighting each other. We're fighting amongst each other, and we're very low level.
At the moment, I'm still of the opinion.
Angry ants.
We're getting close, but we're not quite at that point where there's enough people that know or realise that the only way this
who the real target is.
Yeah, if they stand up and say no more. Yeah, I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm mad as hell. Yeah. Anyway, I just noticed the time. I'm going to play a song while I sort out my curtains and put the light on. Because now the sun's just going down. Got a little bit of a pink sky. Yeah, I'll sort that out. But I'm going to play a song by a group called Transglobal Underground. It's from, I don't know how many years ago, but I picked it out just because it's to do with drums. And I thought, drummer? It's not even a real musician.
Oh.
Yeah, but this is a bit of a classic dance rave track, which obviously, like I say, is about drums. The drums of Navarone. Click it. Move, mouse.
Early in the morning the sun rises over the mountains of a sleepy town. People come from north, south, east and west. They come from each and every nation. They bring the drums of Navarone. the boron, the tabla, the djembe. They bring the drums of Navarone. Rapita, Sounda. Drums of Navarone.
Drums. The drums. Hopefully that won't trigger the algorithm, but it might. So we'll have to see later. But I thought, just trying to think of songs that were about drums and drummers. I didn't want to play any of Mr. Smith's songs tonight because I know Rob will be playing them tomorrow. I thought I'd rather keep the dedication all in one place kind of thing, yeah. But we can play other music in celebration of Mr. Smith. That's why I plucked that one out. I thought it's a good tune, and I thought as well it's a bit appropriate with a lot of the stuff going on at the moment, because the whole shtick of Transglobal Underground was it was a multi-diverse group of people. You know, they were bringing musical styles from all around the world, and they used to have guest musicians and guest singers and stuff like that. And it was good dance music, happy music kind of thing, you know, not oppressive, not talking about all this shitty stuff, but just a celebration of life. The global species that we are, with all our differences, with all our diversity. And yes, there are differences. Trying to deny that or pretend that we can ignore it is idiocy. But, you know, that's part of what the system's been playing on, hasn't it? We used to all get along fairly well in the sense of we knew there was differences between us, and if those differences were irreconcilable, then that was why we used to have separations between us. You know, that's part of what made the national borders and boundaries and stuff like that. It wasn't just because there were lines drawn on a map. It was also, to a degree, depending on where you were, it was cultural and ethnic differences between the peoples in the different sides of that borderline. Yeah, that was how we'd all largely learned to get along with each other. Allowing, of course, for the fact that, yes, of course, there were conflicts. There was certain groups of people that just seemed to have problems with everybody around them and couldn't help themselves but, you know, think that they were the only ones that were meant to exist and everybody else could be disposed of. It's funny how they seem to have become the worst of the worst at the moment. I was trying to think of a better descriptor, but at the moment, that's all I can think of without descending into ranting and swearing and shouting, because the stuff they're doing is just, it's been beyond the pale for a long time, but I accept that some of that might be just my point of view, but I feel that there's a lot of people that are still caught up in a delusion such that they are trying to rationalize the actions of these psychopathic people. There is no rationalizing what they're doing other than they think they're part of some kind of superior race to the rest of us. So you want to talk about fucking racism? That's the worst example of racism on the entire fucking planet. So if you want to complain about racism, start there. Yeah. The majority of other forms of racism, like people shouting stupid names at each other, is fucking inconsequential to the shit that they're doing. Yeah, so, we got mystery whoosh tonight.
Whoosh, whoosh.
You got no image, your camera's turned.
No.
Well, I know you usually like just have your avatar on, but there is no
Hi,
avatar.
Paula.
Hiya, Paula.
Can you hear us? Are you
You're
alive?
muted.
Hello.
Ah,
Hey, there
there
you
she
go.
is. Hi.
Hello.
Do you still want me to join? It's a bit late, but I'm
Yes.
quite happy if you want me
No,
to.
yeah, no, you're in now.
No, yeah,
You're part of
that's
it.
good. Yeah.
Hi.
There's no escaping there.
Okay.
No, if anything, I think the subject matter is probably more interesting
People
for
in
you.
the chat are happy to see you too.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, it was the latest upload on Jeffrey Jum's channel, the London Chem channel. I'll put a link to the video in the chat boxes. It's an hour long, I think. So obviously I'm not expecting you to go looking at it right now. But if you're interested in these subjects, you might want to give it a watch. As I was saying right at the start, it does correlate with a lot of the research I've done over the years. If I paste it in there, it should go to every chat room then, shouldn't it? Hopefully. Yeah. So it's a bit of a long title. It's Ancient Consciousness Tech, Great Pyramid Lightning, Radio Waves and Schumann Resonance. And that's one of the key things that intertwines all this information. Like I was saying earlier, like I've said many times on some of these broadcasts, we are electric beings. And that means we are subject to the effects and the influence of other electric frequencies, or EMF, electromagnetic frequencies. Becomes a bit of a misnomer because electricity creates magnetism, so you don't really need to have electromagnetism, it's just electric frequency, but whatever, yeah. Gets into that kind of scientific pedantism about terminologies, but the frequencies that are artificially created, and that's an important point to stress, because one of the common counter arguments that you'll hear is, well, there's frequencies all around us in nature, mate. The sun projects frequencies out there. Everything's making frequencies. There are natural frequencies that we developed as part of our development. We use frequencies. Our own biology projects frequencies. Yeah. So yes, of course, there are natural frequencies, but that's the point. Our bodies, our physiology developed in the environment of those natural frequencies. Now, over the last few centuries, you could argue that this ancient technology hypothesis means that they were also doing it in ancient times. They were using technological methods to basically create artificial frequencies, artificially generated frequencies, but they were, I would suggest they're tapping into natural emanations of those frequencies. They weren't necessarily generating them from scratch, as it were. Yeah? Whereas our modern standard model of physics technology creates frequency waves that are artificially generated from scratch. In other words, we're not tapping into something that was already there. We are beginning from the nothing to the being something kind of thing. Yeah. So that's why I say artificial, stretching that point of artificially generated frequencies. Our biology didn't develop with those there. So they are alien. Talk about immigrants and aliens. Yeah? Those artificially created frequencies are alien to our biology. So our biology doesn't know how to integrate them or deal with them. They are like an outside attacking force. This is where, again, you get into a bit of a technical argument of, well, how is it disrupting our biological frequency? To what degree is it making any difference? The main crux of it comes down to power and frequency oscillation. In other words, the faster the frequency gets into the microwave range, etc., and the amount of power used to project that frequency, that's what begins making it dangerous to us, outright dangerous. So that's when you get into the technology that has been militarized. Yeah, and this has already been. Sorry?
Fries your brains.
It can potentially at highest level, yeah. When you're talking about militarized weaponry, yes.
Yeah.
This is something I've tried to explain to people in the sense of the telephone masts, the cellular network masts.
Yeah.
As they've gone through different generations, the amount of power and the density of the frequency has increased. So what at first may have not been really that much of an irritant to us, it was just, a bit of an annoyance to our cellular cells, has gradually been increased over time. So like the boiling frog analogy. Sorry,
Could I-
go on.
No,
God,
I got an article that kind of tickles your fancy, probably.
Yeah.
Ancient humans used fire nearly 1.8 million years ago.
Now you'll get people jump up and go, there weren't humans 1.8 million years ago.
Monkey.
Yeah.
It was Cro-Magnon. Yeah, Cro-Magnon was.
Yeah, but they keep pushing that timeline, right? That's
We've been around a long time.
Yes.
A long time. Yes.
Absolutely.
I don't think we came from here, but yes.
But going back to that dial frequency, Cookie, if you could imagine sort of a clock dial from one at the bottom and going round, so like the old-fashioned volume knobs on a radio, like radio player, or the old television knobs. That's when, let's say, I'm not how to put it, but say beginning of the century, when there were few and far telegraph poles and electric power stations across the country. I'm not saying worldwide, but then you turned it up each decade by I don't think you called it ohms, but when you go near, when you were a child, you go near a power blocks, you could feel them humming, and they did affect you. And that was a long time ago. You and I were children. What it is like now, it's not just those ohms, but there's invisible ones that we didn't see or hear when we were younger, but we're aware they're now. I reckon they're up to about 7 that we live in now. Because there's some areas, like, if I go in, it affects how I think and feel, because it makes me feel peculiar, 'cause, you can hear all these, like, electrical buzzy things, and some people think I'm a bit odd, but I feel it.
Well, in this particular sense, there's only two, but I was going to say there are basically three ways it can affect you. One is the electromagnetic frequency itself passing through your body, or encountering your body. The other is the audio effect of those kind of frequency sounds. In other words, the frequency is not just hitting your body, you're picking it up as an actual audible sound. And when you're talking about things that are either VHF or ULF, in other words, very high frequency or ultra low frequency, they can affect your emotional self. Yeah, they can alter your thinking such that they can potentially make you feel depressed or agitated or anxious or fearful.
Anxious. Makes me feel anxious. Yeah.
They can
makes me want to get out of there.
They can initiate emotional responses by altering the audible frequency ranges. Yeah, that really is just, like I said, that's where our audio range can pick it up. But that doesn't mean that the frequencies aren't hitting you anyway as well in that sense. Yeah. But the third way I was going to include is lighting, which is still frequency effects, but people don't tend to associate it with that kind of technology like Wi-Fi and cell phone technology. Yeah. But the way it affects us biologically is in the same sort of subject bracket, because based on the frequency output of the lights and the color of the light, that again can affect your mood. It can give you an emotional response. You try working a full day's work under fluorescent lighting. It's fucking harsh. You will notice the difference to, say, for example, if you worked in natural lighting, a place with big windows and lots of nice natural light, and then you go into a place with fuck all windows and nothing but fluorescent lights, you'll notice the difference. Yeah, it's depressive. It's heavy. It will give you headaches. It will make you feel like you're being pressed down constantly.
And also the light bulbs and fittings nowadays, not just a fluorescent light, but light bulbs. Light bulbs now, to me, I don't know about the little tiny ones, but they make a different noise to the ones that we used to have.
Yeah.
That used to have that, like, what they call filament. I think that's what they were called. Filament.
An incandescent filament.
Yeah, I think they had a nicer light. They felt more comfortable and homely anyway. They felt more natural.
Yeah, because it is actually it's a combustion light that you're looking at. How can I describe the difference? It's different to fluorescent, which is a form of glow mode plasma. But the incandescent filaments, it's like watching a flame in a fire, but obviously it's on a very, very small scale. Because you're talking about
obsolescent, didn't they? The old ones last forever, don't they?
They did last for a long time.
There is, if the videos are still on YouTube, you could look up the light bulb conspiracy.
Edison light bulb, right?
Yeah, I think there's some still glowing, isn't there?
Still glowing. Yeah.
In the fire station, I can't remember which number it is. The fire station in America, they have some light bulbs that have never been changed. They've been running now for over 100 years, and they're still functional.
We should make that more viral, because there's a lot of people haven't got a bloody clue how good things used to be made and how much better they were for you. Seriously.
In San Francisco, it's just insane. Thanks, mate.
Thanks,
I know.
Dustin.
It's a fire station in San Francisco. Right.
He's faster than Google, Dustin. Well done.
As far as I remember, the little documentary about it is called The Light Bulb Conspiracy, but it might have got erased by YouTube, knowing what they like about planned obsolescence now. They don't like the public really comprehending the planned obsolescence principle.
Here's a live stream.
Cool.
Is it for real?
Yeah. It's still glowing.
And it's still working.
Yeah.
Wow, incredible.
So, how old is it? I know it's
114
114 years now. There you go.
Yeah.
So, that is a more natural light because
Yeah.
you are actually looking at something that is a combustion process. So
Well,
your eye interprets the frequency, or you receive the
Mm-hmm.
frequency in a very similar band range to the light you get from firelight or candlelight.
yeah, that do look like fire, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Whereas what we get now, the LEDs and the so-called eco kind of stuff, they are
Yeah,
a form
OLED.
of they
They're
are a
bright.
form of fluorescent light, which
Yeah.
is a glow mode plasma. Yeah,
Mhm.
so what you're looking at is a plasma, in other words, electrified gas, that's put into a voltage range that means it stays in glow mode while it's turned on. Glow mode means it's actually, we see it as illumination, but plasma can also go into a dark mode when you alter the voltage. Yeah, that's
Well,
why
it
most.
depends how thick you put the wolfram. Is it wolfram what they use?
I don't know the gas.
think so.
You mean?
No, the metal inside. I think it's
Oh,
wolfram.
yes, right, yeah. Sorry,
So
yeah. I
if you
couldn't
if
remember
you
the name.
just take a thicker gauge, it'll
amount of
last for fucking
density of it.
forever. Yeah,
Right,
because
right.
it'll equal out the energy that's put into it. So it does
Yeah.
have a low glow, right? It's not a very bright bulb, but
Yeah.
it'll last
Yeah,
forever
it's,
because of that.
it's less than a fluorescent bulb. Yeah, in terms
Yeah, it's
of
not burning
wattage
itself
output.
out like those thin wolfram things are.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm.
They burn
Yeah.
themselves out over
What are
time.
those? What are those lights called that where they're like you plug them in and they're meant for like when you're doing really close up work? They're like natural daylight, but they're very expensive. So you get them like on angle poise ones.
Yeah,
They're
I have
not like
one.
they're not like that filament, but they have got a really good light. I can't
I
think
only
what they're
remember
called.
I only remember when I bought it. It was called a daylight bulb, and the glass on it was very clear, like a really clear crystal glass.
Yeah, but it's not gas. It's not does all gas
No,
though,
it
is
was
it?
an incandescent bulb, but this is going back years. I bought that when I used to do a lot of artwork, and I had me Draftsman board, and I had the
Yeah.
daylight bulb for like when it wasn't daylight. I was
I'll have to look. I got one.
The
I've got one.
natrium lights.
I don't know. They're like prongs. They're not a bayonet and they're not a screw in. They're like two prongs that
Yeah.
fit in like ceramic prongs, aren't they? And then they make like this. The bulb itself's only probably about I don't know. I'm looking at my hand now. 2-3 inches across maximum, but they make a huge pool of natural light. I don't know what they're called now.
I
Natrium
was
lights. Hang
saying
on.
full spectrum bulb.
Right.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm
Blazing.
diverting completely. Sorry. Beg your pardon.
No, so this is all part to me. This is all part of the conversation because, as I was describing, and as I've said many times, the system doesn't like that to help the public comprehend that frequencies like this can have a very distinct and not necessarily beneficial effect on us. We are biological beings, yes, but our biology requires certain frequencies in its own operation, and it is affected by external frequencies pressing up against it. So our environment really seriously affects our well-being.
It does. It does. It does.
So things like this, like the classic kind of thing, like people who suffer from SAD, seasonal affective disorder.
Yep.
And they say you get the little lights, you get, again, it's that kind of daylight bulb effect.
Exactly.
Yeah, but these natrium lights, we use those in growing wheat, right? They are natural sunlight. They have all the UVs and all that. So
what is the
and they used to be in all the street lights, and they replaced them all with fucking LED shit.
Yeah.
So because if you look at the car at the highway, the grass and the flowers and all the shit that's growing there is growing very well because of those. They used to because of those fucking lights.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. And I know I'm sort of picking on the cannabis plant in particular, but why do the cannabis plants love those lights? Because it's a biological thing. It's a biological entity.
It's the closest thing to the sun. Literally.
That works well with positive, helpful, healthy frequency ranges.
It makes you feel
when you as the grower get the right setting on your bulb. Oh, the plant grows great, mate. Yeah, got big buds this time.
Well, it's even better because the atmosphere filters out a lot of the bad UV and stuff, right? And
Mhm.
these natrium lights don't. So if you're
Yeah.
a grower, you have to be careful, right? So don't go in
Yeah.
there
So
too
again,
long.
it makes the point that when it comes to things like plants and lights, the public seem quite accepting and they can comprehend the simple connection that the plants appreciate the right kind of light to induce good growth. Yeah, obviously there's other factors like the oxygen and carbon that you give it and stuff like that. But in this respect, in relevance to this subject, we can clearly see a connection between positive and healthy growth for a biological thing and light frequencies and the frequencies that we bathe that plant in. But the public then has this kind of schism that's been given to us by the fucking miseducation system that the same thing doesn't apply to us. Unless a doctor tells you you've got something like SAD, and then all of a sudden you're just like a sunflower and you need to have a nice light to make you feel happy. Why then do the rest of the population not connect that the same thing is applicable to all of us? So our environment in that sense is very important when it comes to things like not just the lighting. This is one aspect of those frequencies and how they affect us biologically. But that includes these screens. I've got 2 screens in front of me and I've got my PC Gubbins box here. So the frequency of those items is bathing me. And all those items are generating artificially created frequency fields.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's going to be having an effect on me.
Mhm.
Yeah. But yeah, my own bad choices aside, in respect to things like the cellular technology and the Wi-Fi technology, as I had a little rant about earlier, the plan for some of these agendas has been going for a very long time. They knew that they wanted a population to be tied into this system in such a way that you can't escape. In other words, you are permanently tagged like a slave. And that tag, because most people would, exactly the same thing, yeah. They knew most people would reject the idea of some kind of tag being injected into them or being forced to have some kind of, permanent like bracelet, like an Essex bracelet on you, an Asbo bracelet. So instead, they come up, like the system is very good at doing, they come up with this thing that is highly tempting because, for one, it gives us access to be able to communicate with people at a distance, which is a really nice functionality for us in general. It gives us access to the media. It gives us access to news and information. So much is available by that device that connects you to the internet. Now, we could debate how much they predicted into the future in that sense, but bear in mind the film 2001, where they were walking around with what is the equivalent of an iPad. Yeah, the little glass pad that he uses to interact with the computer systems. It's in some of the first scenes of the movie, yeah? And that movie came out decades ago. So when you talk about them planning in advance, they've been thinking about this stuff for a long time, and they've got some very intelligent and creative people who thought these ideas through to the kind of goal that they were targeting. A system, a virtual panopticon based on the technology itself that would enable them to tag and track and monitor everything we're doing. That system utilizes a technology based on frequencies that is unhealthy. So they couldn't tell us the truth about this stuff being unhealthy, because then you wouldn't have picked it up and started using it.
Mhm.
This is why, if you go back to the terms and conditions from the 90s,
Absolutely.
it doesn't say anything about holding the phone away from your head. Whereas now, it's all in the terms and conditions, isn't it? Because they've steadily been forced to admit that there is unhealthy biological effects from the use of this frequency technology.
Yeah, but
They've
they're willing
also,
to accept that, right? It's like
a
cars,
risk,
right?
accepted
We
risk.
know that people die driving cars,
Yes.
right? We know that people die using kitchen
Utensils.
stairs.
You know where the
shit,
most
yeah.
accidents are in the home?
It's the
In
kitchen
the
stair,
bathroom.
isn't it?
Bathroom,
Yeah,
I say.
bathroom.
Bathroom, yeah.
Yeah, slippages in the bath and the shower and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right. So we know
Yeah.
that, right? So there's a certain risk benefit kind of analysis going on these kinds of technologies,
Yes.
and right. Well,
what
we
I'm
don't
talking
know
about is
quite. No, but
they didn't give any indication of the risk. Right? They didn't mention
no,
it.
no, no.
And
Of
when
course
it was
not. It's
brought
like the
up,
vaccine. Yeah.
when it was questioned by people who understood the technology, they were poo-pooed, they were cancelled, they were denied as being crazy conspiracy theories, etc., etc. So
Yeah,
the point I'm trying
or
to
it's
make,
like you have to accept the dangers because we are gonna have so many benefits out of it, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah. But the point I'm making is at the beginning of the introduction of this system, which was reliant on the creation of the internet as well, of course. Yeah, so the two were working together. But the introduction of the system, they could not give any suggestion or indication that it was bad for us because they needed as many people to start adopting it as possible. So that it
they didn't
became
care.
ubiquitous into our life. Yeah.
Yeah.
But now they've been gone.
Can I say, I mean, I am a bit of a dinosaur when it comes to a lot of modern technology, but I admit how much I'll use the way technology is to be able to put your fingers on this little laptop, and go click, click, click and get some information, whereas I would have had to make the physical effort to go to, say, a library or go and talk to somebody about getting information or going and getting something printed to make I don't know, like flyers or whatever. It's completely different now. You're smiling, Cookie, but you know what I mean. It was
I used to
completely
do
different.
it. Yeah.
Me too. And you have so much availability. I'm using the word cost availability. So if you wanted to do something simple as getting a laptop and probably a printer that could laminate, it wouldn't cost thousands of pounds. You could probably do it quite reasonably and do something like a flyer that would be looking quite professional. That availability in, let me think, 20, probably 30 years, if I'm honest. Cost availability that I would say I would use affects my life in a daily way because even I'm connected through mobile phones or the internet with my family and friends, which I never imagined I would be. And I'm still a dinosaur in many ways because I said I don't connect and available, if you know what I mean, always, because I like to live in the real world. But it still affects me on a daily basis. I could live without it. I could, but I don't know how other people would connect with me. They just have to knock on my door like they used to years ago, wouldn't they?
Yeah, or pick up the telephone.
Yeah,
And when
I'm
I say
old,
telephone,
right?
I mean the
We're
landline telephone.
we're internet fucking boomers, right? We've
Yeah, we're
been at the
analog.
fucking
We're an analog generation trying to acclimatize to a digital environment.
So and what I see in the internet is two sides, right? There's the nerd side, the fucking Linux fucking idiot, right?
Yeah,
That's programming everything for itself, doesn't want anything to do with government, and right. So that there's that freedom part of the internet and the sharing of information and all that. And there's the corporate evil side, right? So, but I would definitely separate those two because the backbone of the internet is written by Dave, right? That fucking internet nerd that does know how to code. It's not Bill Gates, right?
No, no, absolutely not.
So and I think it's those guys that leave those back doors in there, and it's those guys that open up opportunities into doing it the other way as well. So
what is often referred to as the white hats.
yes,
it's become a little bit of a misapplied nomenclature. Is a fancy word for it.
They hope that AI is going to solve that issue, but it's not, because
it used
AI
to mean something slightly different decade ago, but it's become sort of the ubiquitous label for the unknown engineer who,
Mhm.
like you said, while he's doing his coding thing, he's going, "Oh yeah, just in
Right.
case, I'll
Slip
leave
it
a
in
little
back
keyhole
door.
here." Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it kind of makes me smile. I really am smiling as I'm talking out. It's like that Cornish wrecker in me. I think there's always a smuggler's way in. You always got to have the black, the underbelly of the onion
Yeah.
of the onion. There's always somebody there thinking, nah, I'll just come in here a minute. And there's somebody else there with you, surprisingly
thing
enough.
is, as
Data
well, is
centers run on like 20 people, but there's still 20
Mhm.
people inside that control that fucking thing,
yeah,
right? And only one of them has to slip in something that, you know,
Yeah. and I
could
would
open the
also
door
point
to
out
us.
this again is something that I think I'm making a bit of presumption, but it's a presumption based on my general encounters with the populace in that sense, just conversation with people. Most of the public seem to have this, they have the comprehension that, there could be whistleblowers, there could be people on the inside, like the white hats and stuff like that, but they don't seem to, how can I put it, the cabal do exactly the same thing.
Sure.
This is why I made the point about with the AI stuff. They are never going to give full control over to the AI. They will always have a back door where there's a big on-off switch.
Yeah, they sequester everything that they can use for their
They
own
build
benefit.
secret tunnels in their castles to enable them to come and go without being seen. So they do it as well, in the same way as they predate on each other. They set up situations so that if somebody suddenly doesn't toe the line anymore and is getting a bit uppity or too inquisitive, they've got secret doors where they can shuffle them off and disappear them.
Yeah, but it's that
So,
age-old fucking cost-benefit thing, right? Where they used to have, or they had to have the artists to paint their fucking ceilings and the Leonardos and all that, right? So they respect that part of us, and that's why they won't
Dave's
kill
the
us.
engineer, has the knowledge to create
Yeah,
the digital.
if you're a
painting.
creative, you're useful, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's similar here. So I think with the programmers, that they are the Da Vinci's of our time.
Mhm.
And we don't look at them at the in that sense, but I think they are, because they're creating our reality right now, and how we think of all the bigger
To a
bigger,
large
bigger
degree,
picture thing.
but that's talking about the software
But it's
environment more.
nerds. We're talking about
Yeah.
nerds, right?
Yeah.
We're not talking about alpha males. We're not talking about
Alpha
and that's
males
scary.
Alpha males use their fists.
Because they don't care about family.
Yeah.
They don't care
Yeah,
about all that.
Alpha male use their fists. Nerds
Mhm.
use the alpha male.
Yeah, the brain.
That's the difference. Yeah, the nerd learns techniques to manipulate the alpha male to get him to attack the guy that he wants getting rid of. Yeah. That's the only difference. Is nerds do it through, well, in a way, it's like using a technology. They learn.
Well, the nerds give
to
the alpha
manipulate
males the Instagram to flex their fucking muscles, right?
Yeah.
They mentally
Look at my
manipulate
muscle.
them, don't they? They
Hello,
mentally
Lance.
manipulate them.
Revenge of the
Yes.
Nerds. Yeah, that's a great.
Mm,
hmm
great. Can I address
no.
a comment in the room that Frank said? Cornwall has and always will have tunnels that collapse because it's riddled with tunnels. It's like a cheese. It's a good job we've made of granite. And there is other areas, but recently we've had Newquay, we had some tunnels collapsing, and down West Cornwall they're always collapsing. So it's part of it. So
Not somebody digging more then.
What do they do
No.
after they collapse? Do they just fill them up, or what's?
it depends where they
Usually,
are.
they seal
It
them up.
depends. They seal them out. It depends where they are. It depends how serious they are. Some areas they're like never ending. They do fill them up. People's houses have disappeared. Roads have disappeared.
Sinkholes. Yeah.
It's riddled.
Well,
You just
hopefully
look at the
you
map.
haven't got a population of chuds trying to move in. Then hopefully,
Chuds.
Chuds. That's such a shitty film. But anyway, sorry, to get back to where we were. The software stuff is one aspect. Yeah, I get that. Right? But I'm talking more about the kind of hardware that generates frequencies. I suppose software becomes part of that because obviously you can manipulate the frequency via the software, that alters how the hardware emits. But they've taken the technology to the point of creating LRADs, long-range acoustic devices, or there's other versions of that acronym, but that's the easiest one that sort of explains what they do. And I'm sure people have seen the examples. I know I've shown it many times. The things such as the kind of like sonic ray tank, where they point the thing in the direction of the crowd and the crowd just suddenly runs away because they all felt like their skin was being burnt, you know. And of course, you got the kind of brown note effect where, in a similar fashion, they can point an emitter at you and you will vomit and poo yourself. Things like that. Again, they steadily admitted that they have weaponized and militarized this technology. So if they militarized it, the commercial level of the technology that is available to us is only one step away from being military level. Yeah. And this was the argument I was making years ago when they began installing the 4G and then the 5G networks. Yes, it's not true that the cell towers that they are erecting at the moment are going to, like I mentioned Mark Steele, the twat earlier, they're not going to boil everyone's blood and set their hair on fire and shit like that. No, that's not what the technology is designed to do in its current incarnation. But with a bit of alteration, yes, it could. Because the way the technology works is exactly the same as the technology they use in those LRAD tanks. Yeah, in the crowd dispersal technologies that they brought out during the protests down in London. You know, they were in the background on the side streets ready to be used if needed. But the point I'm making here is the principle of how the technology uses artificially created frequencies and the detrimental effect is based on the frequency level and the power that is put into the emitter. So with enough power at a high enough frequency, they can do you serious physical damage, or they can mess with your thinking, they can mess with your psychology and your emotional responses. This is just reality of how the technology works.
And that's all being put up into space by Mr. Brain Chip Elon Musk as we speak, and it's beaming at you 24/7.
Neuralink from a distance.
Yep.
At the moment, the current incarnation of that technology is
He's
that there will be a
6G.
chip
He's at 6G level.
with wires that go into your brain. But the
Mhm.
progression of the technology is that eventually it will just be a surface chip, that like a stick-on thing that you put on your head, and then eventually there won't even need to be a thing you put on your head. It will just be an emitter somewhere in your environment. That is the progression this is going
It's not
on.
going to be the masts are not going to be the problem
No.
because you know you can chop those down. So it's the space shit.
As the
Keep
Blade
an eye on
Runners have
that.
proven. Yeah. And the
Mhm.
kind of installations that will be in controlled areas, military areas, government controlled areas, COG, you know, continuity of government centres, that kind of thing. But the reason I wanted to get all of that said, because we could get to the point of winding it up in a minute, but if you watch that link I put in, the video from Jeffrey Drum about consciousness and some of the connections between the Schumann resonance, because that is a naturally created frequency, and it is a vital important frequency to our biological well-being and to all biological life on this planet. There might be some of the lower forms like the archaea and bacteria and stuff like that that could survive without it. But if you fucked up the Schumann resonance, most biological life would gradually wither and die, because our own biological processes are keyed into the Schumann resonance being what it is. And our psychology in particular, the way our minds work, is distinctly tuned in to the level of the Schumann resonance. Yeah, so some of this potential, yes?
Cookie, would you do a rune in a minute?
Yes. Yeah, okay,
Thank
we'll
you.
do. Before
Thank
we
you.
play the music and finish up, But the potential of some of this ancient technology that I was sort of, like I said, I was sort of researched along these kind of lines before, which is why it brought me to those conclusions. A lot of the stuff that I've been ranting about for years to do with frequency and electricity, etc. But some of this technology looks as if the ancient technology looks as if they had a full comprehension of the human resonance and its importance to life. This also links into things like the electroculture. You know, like we were talking about earlier, the plants appreciate the right kind of light frequency in the same way they appreciate the right kind of magnetic frequency environment. And magnetism is electricity. So in other words, you're talking about the flow of electricity in the environment. As I've talked about over the years and tried to describe in different ways, a lot of the ancient stone circles are batteries, as in they are pile batteries that were meant to store energy, ambient telluric energy. Telluric energy, telluric is just a label that's given to the naturally created electrical fields of the biological ecosphere that we inhabit, yeah? The planet's own electrical system.
Usually on ley lines.
Yes, telluric currents flow most strongly on ley lines, which is why dowsers can track them, because a dowser is acting as a conduit. The energy is coming up through their feet, going through their hands, and affecting the conductors that they're holding, which are usually copper, yeah, because that's a very low resistance. You could also use silver and gold, but most people use copper, yeah, and the reason you get a response is because of the way the electrical field is flowing through your body. And the dowsers learn that, you know, if I stand over here, the flow stops so the two bars don't come together. I move over here, oh, look, the bars are coming together. So what they're detecting is electrical energy flow, yeah, which is why they can detect water, because moving water generates an electrical field. Yeah, so in the same way, they can follow the flow of water by, again, they're channeling the electrical field through their body. You know, so things like this, the ancients definitely seem to have a comprehension that the world was full of electrical fields. They probably called it something else. You know, the dragon power is a phrase that I've often used to refer to this, because I think it connects into the cultural mythos that was represented by the iconography of the dragon mythology. Yeah, the dragon mythology was the metaphor used to talk about lightning and electricity, the telluric electricity. So they you know, as I said, they understood this, and it seems to be that some of their creations, some of their constructions, the pyramids and some of the other ancient technology around the world, I say technology because I think that's what these things are. They weren't tombs, they weren't buildings meant to be inhabited in that kind of way. Yeah, they were functional industrial machines, would be the way we'd interpret them in a modern sense. Yeah, they were attuned to the human resonance. They were tapping into naturally created energy fields, not artificially generated in the way we do now. And some of what Jeffrey, if you're interested, watch that video. Like I said, it's about an hour, so it's a lot less rambling and waffling than I do. He gets to the point more directly, and he uses various papers and research articles to demonstrate what he's talking about. Yes, mate, bare feet and tree hugging, because can I get to that image? Yes, I still can't scroll, but I can show the image again. Every tree, every plant has a toroidal field of energy around it in the same way as we do.
Yep.
Yeah, we have a toroidal field of energy around ourselves as well. So when you're barefoot on open ground and you are in contact with something larger than yourself, like a tree, you benefit from being immersed in its electromagnetic frequency toroid. This is why in the past I've described, you go into nature because nature acts like a washing machine. When you feel that your body is full of negativity, yeah, the Vitruvian is another example of that toroidal field. But it's a bit encoded. Yeah, he was definitely an initiate, man. So yeah, he definitely knew. Yeah. But when you put yourself into the connection of a field larger than you own, that includes other animals. You know, so if you stand next to a large horse you'll get a similar kind of effect. Because if their energy field is flowing well, which if it's a healthy tree, if it's a healthy animal, animals, you can distinctly tell normally when they're ill. They exhibit illness more than we do.
Yeah.
But my point being is you absorb the clean processing of their energy field. It takes the shit out of your own energy field and disperses it through their clean field.
I can see auras around certain things.
Yeah.
I have to open myself up to it, but I can see auras like around trees and living things, maybe. But yeah.
Well, make sure you clean your glasses first.
I know.
No, I've done it myself. I sat
But
here
yeah,
looking
you
at
can.
stuff,
Yeah.
and I'm like, do I just need to clean my glasses? No, just checking.
But you also feel it. You can feel it with people.
Yes,
Colours
absolutely.
and energies and people's colours and energies, even from behind.
Yeah, and
Even
some
from
mediums
behind.
claim they can see problems in the auric field. And the auric field is just that magnetic toroidal field that's generated from our heart, yeah? Yes, exactly.
Animals.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Some animals are better at it than others. Some dogs in particular are excellent for this kind of thing. Cats, you have to get one with a good attitude, because cats can be quite selfish in that kind of sense, yeah? But dogs, being pack animals, are much more open to that effect of sharing energy. Yeah, a dog can sense when you're feeling depressed and down and you need a bit of a cuddle and stuff like that. Most cats don't, or they just don't give a shit.
Yeah, they're
but dogs are good in
individuals.
that way. Yeah. But yeah, it's as I say, some people might think some of this stuff is woo-woo. It's absolutely not. There is a natural science to this. It's not craziness. It's not speculation or make-believe, yeah? And the reason I wanted to mention all this, one is to give a shout out to Jeff's video, because I was like, yes, mate, that's a lot of what I found out, yeah? But he's putting it together more in relation to explaining the functionality of the constructions themselves. But also because I feel it's important and highly relevant to the push towards this digital ID. Because if the public don't start really saying no to this and actually standing their ground and saying, no, I will not have it. I know it's going to cause me problems in my life, but I will not have it. I will not help this gain traction, because the introduction of that kind of stuff means we are even more going to be submerged into a soup of these artificially created frequency environments. So people's general well-being is going to get worse and worse. Their mental states are going to be more agitated and interfered with, even to the point of downright mental manipulation. They want to riot in the street, they type in the right code, and it affects people to make them go outside and start rioting.
It's an artificial version of the actual human connection that we have telepathically and all that.
Yes.
That right? So they're trying to replace it with a system, kind of machine,
that they
kind
can
of
have control over.
Yeah, they can control a meter and all that.
Yeah.
But we all have that ability in ours.
Yeah.
If you dig a little deeper, you'll find out, right? So
yes, mate, absolutely.
So yeah, that's what I'm seeing. Like they're trying to meter our consciousness,
and to give themselves a middleman position, so they get the ability to turn it on and off.
Yeah,
and
stick a
control the
filter
flow.
on it. Yeah.
That's one of the key things they're after, because throughout the centuries, the one thing that they've always been scared of is the sheer number of us. That's the only other
it's
thing
actually
that has ever
connecting.
controlled
Yeah.
power. Yeah. And that is like, once we all start getting together and connecting, they can't do fuck all to stop us.
It's that pineal gland thing, right?
Yes.
When we activate the pineal gland, we'll all be connected. Then
I think
we might get a bigger insight.
The corpus callosum has a connection into it as well, because having a good balance between the left and right hemispheres seems to make a big difference. People develop a much more balanced approach to life when they have a good, healthy use of both sides of their brain. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's reliant on your corpus callosum, which is the bit that's just behind where your pineal gland is. Now, so your
Mhm.
pineal gland is in between the two frontal lobes.
Yeah.
It's in about an inch and a half, but you got the pineal
Mhm.
gland, and then just behind it is the corpus callosum, which
Yeah.
is the bunch of nerves that connects the two
And
hemispheres.
behind that, there's the reptilian brain, isn't it?
Yes, the little stubby lump that is the reptile cortex, yeah. Which is
Oh,
one
yeah.
of the very first thing that develops in the fetus. It's the heart, and then that lump, that cortex lump at the top of the nerve stem.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when you
Yeah.
know that it's going to become a viable fetus. You know. Anyway, that's another part of the discussion.
Rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Just being human.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
frequency. All of it is magnetism and frequency. That's how we form embryos.
Yes.
That's how we form. That's how you become a human being.
Yes, that's how we
It's,
grow.
it's not
That's how our
DNA.
energy
DNA is a
flows.
fucking lie.
DNA is just a guideline.
That's materialistic fucking zeros and
Yeah.
one programming fucking
Yeah.
bullshit. Fuck off.
And the
Nope.
reality is it doesn't work in a vacuum. You've
Oh,
got
we have junk
multiple
DNA.
other-
What the fuck is junk DNA? Can you explain
Yeah.
that to me?
It's the non-essential DNA.
Yeah. Sure.
They'll be able to snip
Uh-huh.
it out soon for you.
Yeah.
No.
Uh-huh.
We're all
bit
Programming, literal programming. Bullshit.
Yeah.
hmm
that bit that makes you an obstinate
Love it.
bastard. They'll snip that out with the right kind of mRNA
Yeah.
injection.
It's-
That's just
it-
junk.
It's just code. It's just code.
Come on,
We'll
Paul.
fix the code.
Cookie, it's beautiful. It's beautiful that we are all different and obstinate and strong and imperfect in our wonderful ways. It makes us who we are. We're here now, connected in a way many of us, spiritually and mentally, others in a typing way, other ways connected for different reasons, not just now, but in the future. And time travelers, will be listening to this broadcast and think, what's she talking about? I say, well, in a way that's hard to explain, but that's how it is. It's just people being connected in the vibes that we have. And you can't put
Yeah.
that in AI. You can't explain that ever.
Yeah.
That's vibes. That's real human connectivity as far as I'm concerned.
And a lot of that is that electrical connection.
Mhm.
Because even
It's
though
good.
there might be tens of or hundreds of or thousands of miles in between each of us, if you bother to think about it, in other words, use your intention to follow the lines, we are all connected electrically. I'm
Yeah.
connected to you by a direct electrical connection, and same with Pete, same with all the people in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's Smitty.
it's one
Yep.
big electrical system.
Yep.
Well, is Kitty? Did you want to join in, Kitty, to say something before we finish up, or are you happy
come on.
to? You're just lurking for the after chat.
Hi, kitty.
Meow.
Hello. Meow.
Hi.
Hello, my darling.
Hello.
Hi.
You
How are you
alright?
doing?
Did you want to
I
say
just
something?
wanted I just wanted to say what Paula was saying about going to the library, getting up and doing photocopying and everything. But
Mhm.
it's more good for the brain to actually go out and look for the information, and it gets you out the house as well.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So it
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense of doing old-fashioned style.
Yeah.
Where it really is. And
That's
and the
why I
light bulb.
object to the people when they say, "Oh, there's always a book." I'm glad there is a book. Because in
Yeah.
10 years, that book might mean something, right? To somebody
Oh yeah.
somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Because it's going to
The
be
back.
erased from the internet. So, yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
There's a
It's
book.
The fight for English.
Yeah. This is by a guy who's renowned as being a student, a scholar of the English language, and he's talking about the changes in the English language in modern times, and how we shouldn't worry too much or stress too much about the fact that the language is changing, because it is a living thing.
Yeah, it's a living thing. Yes. Yeah.
But he's a really good writer, so I wanted to have that on the shelf.
Yeah, there's
Right.
always a book, right? But thank God there is always a book because
Yeah.
they
There's
mean
always
something.
a book and there's always
There's something
information
to the
from the
pen
old
and
times.
paper and all that.
Yeah.
It's
And
magic. It's actual magic, I think.
And some of it
definitely, because
went.
it's information from
Mhm.
back in the days for
Yes.
it up to now. And you
Yeah.
think, fuck.
Yeah, we wouldn't have known a lot of stuff if there weren't books.
Yeah.
So
Well,
thank God for
uh,
books.
That's what
Yes.
enables time travel. And
That's
that is one of the
that's a
foundations
good
of
thing.
civilization.
I think so. Yeah.
If we
And
didn't
they
have
are
the
trying to
written
get rid of
word,
books.
as Tossamon explained to that first pharaoh when he invented written language, he said, this will enable you to go on forever, to live immortally, basically. This is a technology that
Yeah.
will enable our civilization to grow forever and be good and beneficial.
Yeah.
Well,
I
'Cause
think
otherwise-
Amazon is trying to obfuscate that with their fucking digital bullshit
Their
and
Kindle
buying
shit,
all
yeah.
books to
Yeah.
bookstores
Drop
and you know, it's
'Cause when you-
destroying our history. So yeah.
Ooh,
I
dag,
didn't
that's a
even
Deadly
look at it.
words. Ooh, infinity. There you go.
He's got the dagger.
I didn't even look at it. I just pulled it out and yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. I gotta.
I'll make you
Well,
big.
I will look it up again just to be sure of the interpretation. But we've
Yeah,
had that one a few times recently, haven't we?
Mhm.
So put my double glasses on. It's Dagaz, which means infinity or breakthrough. I really hope it is, because the question I asked is, will people be able to say no to this latest attempt to introduce the digital ID bullshit system? And that's telling me a breakthrough. So
Okay.
obviously you can't draw it reversed because it's a double direction meaning. I can't read it with just these on. I need to get a better set of glasses, I think. The cycle of self-transformation. This is the final rune of self-transformation. Dagaz indicates a major shift or breakthrough in the process of self-change, including a complete transformation in attitude or a 180-degree turn. For some, the transition is so radical that they no longer continue to live an ordinary life in the ordinary way. I think that's more than good enough. I would say that is certainly a yes, but not necessarily in the direction that I might choose, because that could be a breakthrough in the other direction, in the sense of there might be enough support for a neo-imperialist revival. This is something that I've thought about talking about. Mentioned it in different ways. I've talked about neo-feudalism and stuff like that. But some of what's been happening recently, especially with the actions by Trump and the American regime, Trump is acting literally like an emperor of the old days, yeah? And what we're witnessing is an attempt to disguise corporatism as a new version of imperialism. So we're seeing a neo-imperial revival, where as long as the empire is benefiting, they don't care what's done to these lesser races, these lesser cultures, these little countries that should just be vassal to the great empire. So maybe that could be saying, yes, there'll be a breakthrough when people turn around and say, yes, actually, we love the empire. Let's have a new empire. Let's go and kill all the brown people. Hooray! Possibly. But I really hope that this is going to be what I would choose, where they turn around and say, "Oi, queer charter, shove your digital ID up your fucking Uranus."
Well,
Yeah. Get you. Get out of it. That's interesting that it drew that one again. I was surprised at that. I was expecting...
Some things I want to bring up.
Yeah, go on.
The earthquake in the Philippines. I had that in the daily.
Yeah,
There's an earthquake right now happening in the Cuba.
Oh, shit.
There's a volcano erupting on Hawaii. So I don't
We have had a big CME, and we were expecting northern lights, I think, in this area.
There's
Jenny,
a lot of Northern Lights, yes.
uh-huh.
Yeah, there was a
Yes.
triple whammy that's been hitting us over the last day or so.
Yeah.
It didn't get very big though. It ended with an X1, I think it was. And then there was another M flare just last night, I think, or Saturday night. But yeah,
Mhm.
we've been buffeted with some solar activity over
Yeah,
the
Earth
weekend.
is active. So
Having a
keep
fun
an eye on
time.
that.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
Cuba
especially
one,
at
I
It
the
would
always
be,
moment.
talks back, right? Earth
Yeah.
reacts to what we're doing.
yes.
Yeah.
But the Cuba one, I would be suspicious of some kind of American intervention.
I don't know. Yeah, that's a dodgy one.
He's been threatening to go in soon, so yeah. Anyway,
Mhm.
right. The last song I've got that I want to play is a bit longer. It's over 7 minutes long, as far as I remember. But
Yeah.
I've been wanting to play this one for a while because shout out to Steve. He often plays some of this song, but he never plays the whole song. So I want to listen to the whole song. I want to hear the whole thing. So I thought one of the nights I'll play it, and then on hearing the news about Mr. Smith, I thought, well, this would be a good opportunity. I can use it as a tribute for Mr. Smith because I think the lyrics are appropriate in that way. You know, when you think you're back on the up, and then all of a sudden, just something about reality just comes back and swings back round and smacks you straight in the face again. Yeah, and it's just the way reality does that kind of shit. Yeah, and you just have to get up and carry on again. Oh, that's cool, mate. No, I know it's a bit of a long song, and there's some
And I need
really
drums.
intense
Yeah,
parts. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But it's one of my all-time favorite songs. I had the remastered album years ago, and I used to love sitting working on my motorbike while I was listening to this. So it's just been one of them songs that's always stuck with me over the years. And as I say, I think it's appropriate for Mr. Smith. If you enjoy this kind of stuff, listen in. It's a absolute classic. But yeah, if you're not into this kind of stuff, it might be a bit too long-winded and loud.
That's all right.
But that's
That's all
cool.
right.
I'm playing it anyway.
That's all right.
For Mr. Smith.
So thank you all for tuning in.
Yeah,
Again,
tune
please
in
remember,
tomorrow.
Tune in tomorrow for Rob's Health Freedom show.
Yeah.
And we will get together and pay tribute.
Yeah.
And listen to some fantastic music that he created and shared with us. Mr. Smith, that is, not Rob or me. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, we'll see you. Rob might play his stuff
don't
as
tell
well,
him. Don't say that.
No, it'd be good
There's
to
the
hear what he's
ladies'
been
night
working on.
Yeah,
on
well.
Friday as well.
Is there a ladies' night? Right,
Oh,
okay, cool. It's a ladies' night
Cool.
this Friday as well. And of course, we'll be
Nice.
back on Wednesday. Steve will
Yep.
be on for the mystery show on Thursday.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'll
so
be
we
doing
will-
the dailies. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think we need to put together a little sort of list of all the different shows and stuff now. I've said this before, but now we have got a full week of stuff apart from the Sunday, obviously, but I think it works well
much.
in that sense of everybody needs at least one day of rest, you know.
Yeah, of course I do.
Thank God.
Somebody's
Yeah,
always
so-
there.
But
Don't bring him
they've
into
all
it.
stuck with me. Thank you all for tuning in. I will see you again soon. Thanks everyone joining in the room, in the chat. Thank you. Yeah, take it easy,
Thanks,
folks.
Cookie. Thanks all.
Cheers.
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 Take care, everyone.
Sweet child in time, you'll see the line that's drawn between good and bad. see the blind man shooting at the world, bullets flying, taking toll. If you've been bad, oh Lord, I bet you have, and you've not been hit by a flying lead.
Welcome to your awakening. Please take calm as your reality is adjusted.